Hi, we're back, Minivan Musician podcast, and we are back doing another episode for Helene. But we have three people here today that I would like to introduce you to who have been a huge part of the relief efforts and ongoing and various endeavors that they're doing now that are going to help in the future. So while I babble on like an idiot, let's have you guys introduce yourselves.
Ladies first.
Hey, ladies. I'm Ashley. Ashley Garrison. Have a nonprofit, Honeywise Community Outreach. Just started a village of tiny homes on my property in Old Fort, called the KAB Village. That's it. Done.
Hey guys, I'm Big Yummy. It's Big Yummy Barbecue and Feed the People. The Feed the People is a 501c nonprofit. We've gotten some donations. We got a lot the first 2 weeks of the
various endeavors that they're doing now that are going to help in the future. Let's have you guys introduce yourselves.
Ladies first.
Hey, ladies. I'm Ashley. Ashley Garrison. Have a nonprofit, Honeywise Community Outreach. Just started a village of tiny homes on my property in Old Fort, called the KAB Village. That's it. Done.
Hey guys, I'm Big Yummy. It's Big Yummy Barbecue and Feed the People. The Feed the People is a 501c nonprofit. We've gotten some donations. We got a lot the first 2 weeks of the hurricane, and then it's like everything dried up at Christmas, and then we've started. My wife, I just turned 61 yesterday.
Happy birthday!
So my wife turned a campaign, 61 cents. We'll get a bowl of black beans and rice for somebody. $6.10. We'll get them a whole meal with proteins and a couple sides. 610. We'll feed about 100 people. And then 6,100 we can feed for about 3 weeks of nonstop Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This weekend we're going to be up in Irwin, Tennessee, with Mindy Barrett and Deborah from Help a Vet Shine. And that's a propane and kerosene giveaway. And then we're going to be with Rodney and Ashley, I think, on March 1st over in Candler. So we appreciate you guys having us. It's all about getting our stories out there because everybody wants to know why are we still up in North Carolina helping. And the thing about it is, all you got to do is take a ride. Yeah. Put your boots in the dirt, and you'd understand why. So, Rodney, you're up next, brother.
I'm here. Hey, y'all, Rodney, Pay It Forward Network. We are a 501c3. We're based out of Lake City, Florida. I've got family in the mountains here in North Carolina. I'm a property landowner here in North Carolina. And when the storm hit, I was actually out of state in another state, and I got a phone call to tell me how bad it was, and I didn't believe it. So I called family up here, and they said, yes, it's beyond belief. So when I got back home, I turned around, loaded up, and started taking a collection of donations to come this way and bring them up. And actually, some of it actually came here to this building through somebody else we'll talk about later. And then when I went back home for the second run, it was getting cold, and I thought to myself, wow, these people have nowhere to live. So I put a camper challenge out on Facebook, and it had like 10,000 views within 2 days. And I challenged people to donate their camper, and we moved into donating campers. We would buy campers, bring them up. People would donate campers to us. We would bring them up. And then that's still going. We have campers in Alabama we're going to go get. We just donated one last week to a family that's sitting down at Camping World that was displaced by the storm. One went to Emily. The list is long. But now we've kind of changed directions. I've had some people reach out and ask us to help rebuild bridges and fix their waterways. So we've got equipment back home that's being equipped with the biodegradable hydraulic oil so we can get in the rivers and waterways And part two of that is we've teamed up with the National Mental Health Alliance out of Swannanoa. Their organization has built 101 tiny structures here, McDowell County, then surrounding areas, Burke County and Buncombe County. They're moving to Hot Springs. So we're going to help them over in Hot Springs and just keep going. Phase two is whatever's needed is what's going to take place.
That's
All right.
incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like blown away. That's amazing.
That's something I've noticed is just like this adjustment where people will come in here maybe to help for a weekend or they give some food away or something. And next thing you know, they're pivoting to building bridges or
Right.
finding campers and stuff. And it's so resourceful. It's unbelievable, to be honest. I wouldn't have imagined that people could pull this off. So
That's actually what made me use my land to go ahead and get it cleared and ready for these tiny homes for the people that don't have a place. They don't have their own land, so they need somewhere to go. And
that's what I was wondering. Like, so it is your land that you're putting these on.
Mhm.
How much land do you have?
2.5 acres.
2.5
Well, like
acres.
2.5 acres.
And is there any issue with you being quote unquote allowed to do that, like
I
zoning
mean, so
or
far out in
whatever?
the country that there's no restrictions on.
Oh, okay, all right. That's
mean,
great though.
We still gotta put in the infrastructure as far as plumbing and.
One of those things, just go ahead and, get permission later.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the way I felt about the whole thing when you're hearing that. Like I was hearing that the stuff that the Amish did, they were saying, well, people can't live there. That's basically what you're hearing. But I know that there's something done to stop
Well, National
stoppage
Mental
of
Health
that.
Alliance, every week for the last, 2 months, has been nothing but Amish coming down from Maryland.
Wow.
Josh Bailey on TikTok, Arrow Affliction, and his community has substantially helped that community and that tiny home.
What y'all deliver? 19 over the weekend?
We delivered 19 last weekend.
Wow.
18 or 19, I don't remember.
That's insane.
What
Yeah,
was
it
it?
is.
7 came my way.
You got 6.
Yeah,
And
and
Shane got
we'll
one.
put a
Shane got
picture of
one.
that in here so you guys
Well,
can see it.
that one place they all turned in from a tent city right there in Old Fort to
Harrison Fort.
Yeah.
And those people are all living in
Davidson.
tiny homes now.
And some of that has moved to Sky Island Campground. Debbie has allowed the front property to be cleared at the top. And they're putting 5 to 7 down there as well. So the community has really came together to help the people of Old Fort and McDowell County in general, from what I've seen.
So there's a lot more displaced than people realize.
Oh
That's
my
what we
gosh,
keep
yes.
trying to get across.
For sure.
Outside of this area, it seems like people think it's a handful of people, or they think it's people who are just being stubborn.
Right.
Yeah,
Was the thing that they were,
yes.
yeah.
When I was told about Hot Springs, we went over there this past weekend. We met Chicken Man and Nels and a bunch of great, great people. I think Hot Springs is under 600. How many people live there?
The actual
Yeah.
population.
The population. And 150 or 170 are without a job because 2 major employers their businesses washed away in the storm.
Mm,
So they have no work. So they're on unemployment. That's not going to last long.
right.
So there's big things coming for Hot Springs. And then I can't confirm nor deny, but the tiny structures are going to be reconfigured to where we can cross state lines and go into Tennessee. Because in Tennessee, you can't be 12 feet wide.
Oh.
I heard something about that.
So they're going to be
with
reconfigured to where
limitations.
this can branch out into Tennessee as well and help people there.
That would be amazing.
It would. And how many are going on your property? How many campers are you putting there?
Tiny home.
Yeah, she's
Or tiny homes, I mean, I'm sorry.
We got there now.
There's 6 there now.
6 there now. Yeah. That's
And then what's your plan to grow it to as many as you can get, I think.
Yeah, as many as they can fit with everything.
yeah.
And people need to understand that's just Old Fort, which is a very small place that has
Correct.
something like 1,000 people.
There's probably 15 in this general area right here behind us that I've been a part of delivering.
Wow.
They're all over the place.
I already have a list of like 5 people that are already asking to get in these. And I'm not ready.
I know. And that's another thing that's like really difficult that I've found while doing any sort of disaster relief since the beginning of this is that, the needs have not stopped. They have grown and they've changed, and that's what we keep trying to get across to people, is that, you know, as time goes by and the seasons change and everything, you know, the needs are going to change. And even there's still people that need, you know, daily necessity stuff too, though. So it's hard when you have people coming to you in these situations that are still just as dire as they were 4 months ago. And, you know, people don't believe that that's true, you know, and it's like, well,
No, it's
no,
the same. People lost
it
their entire
is.
lives, so it's
Yeah.
just you can't rebuild a life in a
including
month.
jobs. I mean,
Yeah. It's like, oh,
Jobs,
well,
cars,
get a new
houses,
job.
Transportation,
Okay.
families.
I don't have a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
What I tell people is to walk out your front door, close your eyes. What do you see? What do you have? You've left and I'm sorry, middle of the night, everything's in the house. You have just what you have on. Walk outside, close your eyes, open your eyes, and picture everything's gone. Your neighbors are gone, your house is gone, your family's gone, car's gone, job's gone.
how would it
How do
feel?
you start back?
Hmm.
And I've ran into so many of those families up here that have lost loved ones. I mean, a young lady came into one of the hubs we delivered to that I can't remember if she lost her son or her daughter, watched the little kid, you know, float away down the river.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
And she was just so thankful to be able to get some stuff to, you know, continue on with life.
Mm-hmm.
She's a strong lady to be able to do that.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, it's hard when you enter this field or this realm or whatever you want to call it of helping people, uh, because you get those situations like that one, or, you know, situations where you have someone come to you with only the clothes on their back, and they're explaining, you know, how their house is washed away and they basically just have a foundation and they don't have anything at all, and they're asking you for a tent to live in and it's freezing cold. It's just, it's stuff
And it's
that,
hard for them to ask for that tent.
oh,
too.
absolutely.
You
Or,
gotta
I
do
mean,
so much
you know,
more.
because, you know, we saw people day 2, day 3, day 8, day 108,
Mm-hmm.
and you're offering them a hot meal, and they're going, no, I'm okay.
Yep.
But I've got some people that
Who
need it, and we're
more.
going,
Mm-hmm.
guys, just let's help you. And to get them to accept just a hot meal, and you see it on their face that they hadn't eaten in 2 or 3 days, and they're, you know, I can only imagine when you turn over that house to a family of 5 or 6, and it has power and it has sleeping bags and
Mm-hmm.
heat and everything, because I know the look on their face that we've seen from the beginning of just somebody that's trying to help them, and they don't want to take the help because these are prideful people.
Very, very
Guys,
Yes.
these are mountain folks.
Mountain
They
people.
they
Yes.
they don't want to take the help, and you have to explain to them, "Oh, you're helping me out.
That's what I always say.
This food's
Yeah.
got to go to waste if you don't take it," and then make them feel like it's something you're doing that they're helping you out.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Because they still don't want the help. They
Seems like they're always saying this person needs it more than me. Go
that's
ahead and
exactly
get
you're
it.
exactly right.
You know,
In my chronic
that's what we've
containers,
heard.
the thing that got me the most is the blankets. It's always anybody that comes to get anything, it's always a blanket that they go for, and they'll find that one blanket, and they're just like, you know, they're just you can
connect with
see it.
That
You can see
comfort.
that look on their face, and it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I know
It's the blankets.
personally that since starting all of this, I mean, my entire course of my life has changed. I know everybody's has changed in some way. We were fortunate to not, you know, lose our home or vehicles or, you know, have a lot of damage or anything, and so we were very lucky. But to enter into, you know, helping people, you kind of think like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to do this for a little while. Not like this is going to suddenly be my entire life. And now I know all of these people who I didn't know at all before, you know?
Yep.
And you grow to love these people. I mean, even if it's people that you don't really know, but people that come and get stuff from you. And it's like, you know, you have this love for these people. And I know I carry it home with me. And I'm sure all of you carry it home with you. And any other volunteer or relief worker knows exactly what I'm saying. You carry it home. And there are nights where it is hard. and it is hard to not let the emotions out. And it's just it's very heavy. And I know that people from the outside looking in, they really just can't fathom that. And I mean, I guess I can't expect them to.
Right.
But when we say that Western North Carolina still needs help, we mean it. We really, really, really mean it. So anybody that is watching this, please, please know that we are still in need of help in so many ways.
And I'm kind of like, words talk, numbers scream. Borrow something from Tom on PBD, and what is it? 160,000 homes were badly damaged or completely wiped out. I mean, think about that. You got what, 2.5 people probably on average per home. So now you're talking 400,000 people essentially were in kind of a homeless situation. Maybe some of them got some kind of insurance or something like that, or
If it pays.
right.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem. I keep hearing that it really doesn't in most situations. And then there's the FEMA thing, which I'll probably have to even beep that word out. Well, maybe not now. Things have changed since the
Yeah,
beginning of
yeah,
January.
right.
It's strange. Since the beginning of January, it's weird. I can say stuff. I can even talk about certain doctors and shots and stuff.
They wouldn't let us before. They struck our YouTube.
But yeah, we ran into a lot of, like, basically their description was they would have, I don't know, a property that, I did a thing where I broke down all these numbers, and basically the average property here was worth something like $260,000 or something, and people's entire properties ruined, and they were getting offered by that organization like $10,000.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't care what
Tons
your
of
lifestyle is. That's
depreciation.
Yeah,
nothing.
you're like, oh,
Right.
$10,000. But
It's gone very quickly, especially when you're having to pay to stay somewhere. Like you said, you don't have any income.
Yeah.
You can't drive yourself around. Like, what are you
Right.
going to do? I've been in this position before in my life many times where it had nothing to do with a disaster.
Mhm.
And I know it's almost impossible to get out of, except for help from people around you. And if the people around you don't have anything, what do you do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
Can't lean on
And
it.
if they were on unemployment, that's going to run out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then where they worked is gone. So
That's
now
something you
they're
haven't
going
heard
back to work.
people talk about much, is the loss of jobs and stuff. You really
A
have.
very good friend of mine had to
It's-
move back to Denver, Colorado because he lost his metalworking shop in Old Fort.
Uh,
It flooded, then they sold the building right out from under him.
Jeez.
And then the guy that owned the trailer park in Old Fort, all the trailers but 2 washed away. And this is third party. Don't know if it's true or not, but the mayor of Old Fort went to him and asked if he could, acquire, FEMA to bring homes in there and put some FEMA houses in there for people. And he goes, no, I'm going to sell it.
It was almost that exact same account.
So I went to him. I offered to buy it. I asked him how much he wanted for it. He said $150,000. I said, okay, I'll buy it. And I was going to let people put their trailers back in there. And he goes, no, I've already got a buyer for it. I said, has he paid you? He said, no. I said, okay, I'll go to the bank in the morning. I'll activate my line of credit. I'll have you the money tomorrow. He said, nope, I'm selling it to somebody else.
Wow.
Man.
So,
But guys, you take somebody like Rodney, who, guys, he's from Florida. Now, he does have connections to the area, but we've seen a lot of people, you take Josh from Airport. He comes down every weekend. He goes and works his regular job and then comes down on Friday morning, and he's here Friday, Saturday, all the way till Sunday evening, and then he's back at work at 6 o'clock on Monday morning.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's.
You take Justin from the National
From
Medal.
Utah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's from Utah. I mean,
He's seen a news clip and he goes, I gotta go. And he drove 36 hours pulling his race car trailer. That's what he did. He races for a living.
That's okay. So I've seen that
And
guy then.
he's still here. And he doesn't, from what I'm hearing, he said, I don't know if I'm going home. So it's, and I hear, to touch on what you're talking about, Sonny, I hear all these people around here, support your local nonprofits. Agreed. But it's a lot more than local nonprofits that's helping make this work.
Oh, yeah.
It's the entire country, and some people from across the pond have came over and helped as well. I mean, that's a lot more than local.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I heard a local
take Hot
thing.
Springs on Saturday.
Right.
Okay. We're there. You got the Northern Alliance. They're there.
Right.
They're staying there.
Right.
They're rebuilding the whole town.
Right.
Other than the locals, and we had probably 100 locals there,
Right.
mayor and the whole 9 yards. But the thing about it is, most of the people aren't like Ashley or myself or my wife or you guys. They're not from North Carolina. But these people
Live in
dropped
other
what they were
states,
doing.
yeah.
You know, we got a buddy from Maynard, Mikey. You know,
Mikey, yep, sold
Mikey, I
everything,
mean,
came down.
he sold everything he had a, $100,000 a year job, and said, I got to go help these folks.
That was the thing that blew my mind when he first interviewed Sadie. I said, like, you
Oh,
guys and all
yeah.
these other ones, you have
They
your
came
own
from
business,
Texas.
you're barely getting by as it is,
Mhm.
and you decide, boom, I'm going to go here and do this. I would be, I'd probably do it in that situation, but
When we had the survival gear mission, I did out of the church down here, and it was when it was just starting to slightly get cold, and we're like, okay, well, we're gonna bring in a bunch of survival gear and just go deliver it out to different places, and we had a whole group of people doing it. And I had a bunch of people messaging me, from the online groups, asking, if they could be help with it or whatever. But you get a lot of people who, will be spam or a scammer or something like that. So you ignore a lot of messages. I had someone message me and say, that they wanted to help. And I thought that they were a scammer, so I didn't really get back to them. Well, they knew the name of the church and the city that we were in. So they just showed up because they were coming down here for their anniversary anyway. They just showed up and we're out there unloading this U-Haul and sorting through all this supplies and stuff. And I'm like, can I help you? She goes, yeah, my name's Jessie and I messaged you. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, we're from Minnesota. And I'm like, okay.
you're like, you're a real person.
And then, then I look in my messages and I said, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't reply to you. I thought you were a scammer. And they came all the way down from Minnesota, and we had a bunch of heaters that didn't come on our truck. We were supposed to get a lot more heaters than we got. So what do? They say, well, how can we help? I'm like, well, we need heaters. This kind of heater, blah, blah, blah. They went and spent their own money and bought like 15 buddy heaters and brought them back. I mean, just
That's awesome.
incredible, and I've stayed in touch with them since. And it is so many people from different states, different parts of the world
Right.
that have been contributing. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It's also almost maddening in a way to see that people have taken it on themselves to do that stuff, but yet the people who should have been helping us from the beginning weren't.
Correct.
So
That's what I was going to say when you said about
really
people are
rough one.
stressing to help local organizations. The reason for that, and I'm just speaking from listening to a lot of people who really don't understand everything, but they've wanted to give, is that local churches and organizations, they know it's going to the right place. Anything bigger than that, anything coming from another state, they think of it as some sort of scam and they won't do it. Or him and his company sent an entire 18-wheeler down here, but he wouldn't give any of it to a government organization,
Correct.
a big organization, even a large charity, because a lot of charities, they give 10% or something like that. You know what I mean? So he was very selective and went through I don't know, it was a group of churches, basically, is
Right.
what it was.
If it's a church nonprofit, that's perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of individual nonprofits out there that have popped up in the
Very
state of North
recently.
Carolina. I mean, like in the last 3 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, that you need to be. Those are the ones you need to be leering.
Yes.
And then
It's great.
at the
Some
end
of them
the
are
day,
inspired to be actual, real.
Right.
Tyler started his thing.
Oh,
Just because,
breakfast.
yeah.
Well, and the longer we get into this, I mean, we're heading to 5 months. So the longer that we go, the more people are going to see it as an opportunity and are going to come in and hop in. This is when the scammers are going to start really
Nightcrawlers
sneaking
is
in
what
the
I call them.
most.
Did the
It's a
toy
little
drive
quieter.
here in Marion on December 14th.
Oh, okay.
I brought up a 28-foot trailer, probably 3/4 full.
Oh, wow.
Met with Kim, Allison,
Yeah.
topped it off, came over here. Craig, I can't pronounce his last name. Sorry, Craig. Came down from wherever he came down from. Sorry, bud. Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota. I don't remember.
Somewhere cold.
And we all met down here and we filled that building up. And the looks on those kids' faces was priceless.
Yeah.
And if anything, Easter's coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of folks, a lot of parents can't afford Easter baskets.
Yeah.
So I'll put it out there. Call it an Easter basket challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody, if they want to donate some nice, not the little ones, some nice Easter baskets for the kids, and send it to a local church. Let them all go to a local church. Perfect.
Yep.
That's
Set
a
'em up,
great
fill
idea.
'em up.
New challenge.
Yeah.
Because I know we're going to be in Hot Springs they're going to do an Easter egg hunt and
Correct.
everything like that. And then we're going to, the weekend before, help Vet Shine out of, and they're at T-Birds up in Weaverville.
Correct.
They're going to do that, and they're looking to do 400 baskets. So, it's like every weekend we try to be somewhere to feed.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. We feed the people. Like this weekend, it's going to be in Irwin, Tennessee. But guys, Irwin, Tennessee got hit hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
That's where a lot of it started.
It
right?
really got hit hard. I know they're giving away propane and kerosene this weekend. And about every weekend, there's a propane exchange somewhere. And these people are, you got local companies like from Hickory. I know Bumgarner Propane did one
Right.
we were with in Weaverville a couple weeks ago. But guys, Rodney's right. Do your homework.
Just do it.
Do your homework. Vet these people before you give them your money.
Yes.
Like, would you vet who you're going to work for, who you're going to date, who you're going to hire? It's the same thing.
It's the same way. It's sort of like when Josh and Rodney and all of us met this past week. Okay, Sonny, we've got 400 pounds of meat for you. Okay, well, we've smoked it and we're going to give it all away this weekend. But when you're donating your hard-earned money, make sure who you're donating it to.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a legitimate company who's, you take Justin from the National Mental Health Alliance, or you take the guys from the Northern Alliance, or you take, Ashley's, or you take Rodney's, pay it forward.
Or Sonny.
You take
Helping Hearts Closet of Marion. I have to plug
There you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. The thing about it is,
lots of choices there.
there really are. There's a lot of good choices, and guess what, guys? All of us could be doing something a lot different, and that's bringing money into your own pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead, I know our restaurant got shut down because 221 did.
Yeah.
We were at Banks Creek Barn. Well,
Oh,
I mean, we were doing 1,500 plates a weekend, and people up there catching trout in the whole 9 yards. But my wife and I talk about this all the time. We're doing God's work now.
Yes.
And I don't take that lightly when I say that I'm doing God's work, or Rodney's doing it, or Ashley's doing it, or you guys are doing it. The thing about it is, guys, all you got to do is watch a couple videos. If you have a question, tell them you want to pick up the phone and call them. That way you're going to know. You're going to know if you smell bullshit or not.
Yes.
Right.
Or these people really, are they boots on the ground and they got mud on the truck? What are they doing? I promise you, my poor wife is going to kill me at some point because I've abused her car and it's dirty from the inside to the outside. And I said, at some point we'll take it to the car wash, but
It's just going to rain.
It's going to rain.
There you go.
That's what it's going to do. But I couldn't have asked for a better Saturday last week because we started hanging out with Justin and Josh and Rodney, and me and my wife were up there. And we were picking up stuff, and they were delivering tiny homes. And then we all met over in Hot Springs and had a big meal. And watching. One of the guys said, he goes, "You're going to meet all kinds of people here in Hot Springs." He said, "You're going to wrong." And he wasn't wrong. I mean, they were people with piercings and tattoos and guns on their belt and knives and hammers and all kinds of stuff. And then you had these people who look like they just came off the golf course. But they were all sitting around eating together.
Right.
Breaking bread, guys.
And the energy was amazing.
It really was. It was
the kids
phenomenal.
all got along. The dogs even got along.
Wow.
I mean, everybody got along. It was just like when you pulled onto this property, it was just like you didn't have a care in the world.
Right.
It was gone.
That's beautiful.
That is. That really is.
And that's something that I've tried to hit home to people as well. Is like, when this all started, obviously the political climate was really, it was before election time and everything. So it was a rough time for that. But when things like this happen, you know, politics and all that stuff, like, it doesn't come into play anymore when you're talking about saving someone's life
right.
or helping
That's
them.
right. Yeah.
So, I don't care. I'm not going to see you floating down a river and reach my hand out and say, wait, who are you voting for?
Exactly.
Before I reach my
Right.
hand out to pull you up, I'm going to pull you up.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then you
good
pull
point.
me under while I'm doing, we're going to try to pull us both up. I mean, and that I think is a really important thing that people need to remember, because even though we are past election now and, things have changed and are changing, and a lot of us like it, some people don't, we still are human beings, and there are people hurting, people that need help, and none of that should matter or should even be thought about when you're trying to help these people, no matter who they are. So,
It's not our job to judge.
exactly.
And mentioning God's work, it's like,
Yeah.
where we're from, it's, of course, there are Christians there, there's people, there's believers, but
We're from Detroit, Michigan.
in all honesty, it's not, it's almost laughed at for you to be a religious person up there. So to see it down here, and I've gotten, you get a little moody and emotional sometimes with this stuff, but I've gone off on a few people both in person and online. There's the one guy who actually turned out to be one of my customers, but he probably won't ever be again.
Yeah.
But he was, he went on Facebook and he was like, "Is there anybody I can give to that isn't gonna force you to have you pray over them and try to convert you into their religion and this, that, and the other?" And I went off and I said, "But you know what? Rather than telling you they're not really doing that, I'm going to say that when I was out there and saw the first people that were responding and helping, every one of them trailers had a cross on it. They had some kind of bumper sticker, had something to do with Jesus Christ. There was a lot of these people with that negative attitude that was like,
if those people were around and needed help,
oh yeah,
Are
it
they
wouldn't make a
They're gonna get
difference.
the help.
That's what I
I'm
mean.
gonna
It
help
wouldn't
'em.
make a difference.
Still
Nobody's.
gonna feed them. Still gonna put them in a tiny home.
Absolutely.
And I've seen.
Put them in a
Absolutely.
camper.
I think I'm more just inspired by it, that I had faith up there, but I came down here and it's grown a lot.
That's what a lot of people
The
say.
way that I've seen people, because people have more faith in their family and roots in it here and everything, and I've watched the churches do amazing things. I've seen these people get together and pull off almost like superhuman things to help people in
Right.
God's name. Like you said, it's they don't take it lightly.
Well, I firmly believe, and I feel it in my heart of hearts. This is all written already.
I think
Yes.
so,
We're
100%.
we're just doing what we're supposed to do. Don't fight it. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, if you want to donate somewhere, pick wherever it's at. Do your thing. You want to donate your time? Come donate your time. You want
That's
to donate
right.
product? Donate product.
Mhm.
Whatever you're drawn to do in your heart, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. If you don't want to help, you don't feel like it, fine. Stay home, read a book, watch TV, whatever.
Right. We had
You know?
so many volunteers who came down who weren't, they believed, but they weren't really active in their faith. And they said God was just on their heart and told them to come here. Like we were saying, just dropped everything and came down here.
Yep.
That is God working.
Correct.
You're not putting any of your worldly worries above what's happening. You're
Absolutely.
risking.
God's people are on the move.
Absolutely. So it's impressive. I believe that it was written that way. I'm into a lot of that stuff, which is a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
But
We talked a little bit about this.
I'm considered what's called like a Christian apologetic. Just call it fact-based faith is what I would call it. The Wes Huff type stuff. Have you seen that recently? The guy who basically pretty much converted Joe Rogan into a Christian finally by going on his podcast.
Yep.
Amazing.
Things like that have been happening for the last few years that would be written about in history books. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
That's where I go, is books, actual books,
Yeah.
tangible
Yes.
books.
like you said, like it is
Right.
written already, and it just depends. I don't think that the ending can change, but I do think some of the scenes leading up to the ending of the film can change. They can be better for some of the people on set. Put it that way. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Irwin. That jumps out at me because at the beginning of this, are any of you guys familiar with Bear Independent,
No.
Grindstone Ministries?
Mhm.
It's a group. Well, Bear Independent's a guy, but it's a group. Grindstone Ministries. They're out of Oklahoma, where they've always done disaster relief for like tornadoes and stuff. But they've done. I think they did Katrina, just all the big disasters. The first place they came here the day it happened was Irwin, and according to him, he said that there's a place called Little Germany in Irwin, Tennessee, that was just gone. When he got there, it was, God, what was the number? It was 62 homes or something like that. And at the end, with people in them, and at the end of it, there was something like 20. And they were all kind of trapped in this community by trees and stuff like that, couldn't get any help. And basically, he was saying the fatality number that you're hearing for this entire thing was in that little neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Just that.
Just that alone.
This is the first day that neighborhood. And it's really, her and I have a big problem with how certain things are downplayed in this situation because those are human beings that deserve for their name and their existence to matter.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And honestly, a lot of people here aren't making a big enough deal about it.
Well,
they're kind of
because they're just buying whatever they're being told, you know. So
yeah.
So
there's
it is
the
a thing
number.
where it's like maybe they're not communicating even with people around them or in the next town over or whatever.
Right.
Well, at the beginning of it, you couldn't.
Oh, right.
Right.
There was
You know,
no communication.
that was a thing. People weren't seeing this for weeks. Really, they saw the same handful of videos because nobody had internet or phone.
Right.
Even
People
here in
still
Marion,
don't.
I didn't.
Right.
You know, I couldn't call anyone. I work
Yeah.
in Hickory, so for 17 days I had no phone until I was halfway into Morganton.
Right.
You know, and there's no internet around here. So then all of a sudden the pictures and the videos started, you know, hitting social media weeks and weeks in, and by then people were on to the next thing.
Right.
Like you said, it was the election, but also
Right.
it
Yep.
was Florida, and now it's California.
Yep.
And I ran those numbers that we didn't put out. I worked out the amount of money that it would take to rebuild everything that was destroyed here versus some of these other places and what was actually allotted to each place.
Yes.
And it was unbelievable to where in Lahaina at the end of it, you had an average of something like $3 million per home is what ended up being paid out, whether it was rebuilding homes, this, that, and the other, whatever it is, incidentals. So and each property is worth just under $3 million. So it's kind of like you replaced every property.
Right.
And then there's a couple others, but when it came to here, the amount was lesser than there. When that was something like, I may be wrong, but was it 9,000 homes or maybe it was 5,000? But whatever it was here, it was
It was a lot less.
150,000 or 160,000 or something, and then you had the same amount of funding or less. Was what was just unbelievable to me. And people have filled that gap, which is amazing and inspiring, but at the same time, it's also unfair. Even now, all I hear about is the Palisades.
Yeah.
And you know, it sounds petty, but when they start talking about that, like on PVD today, they started talking about that, and I had to skip the next chapter.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I don't want to hear
It's like
about
the
this.
communities
This
that
isn't
have a
over
lot
yet.
More money,
Right.
they
Right.
get more.
And not as much
Yeah.
destruction. Like we did
Right.
the podcast where I totaled up the amount of square miles and kind of the circle of disaster here was over 14,000 square miles, is bigger than Switzerland.
Wow.
You know, versus however big the neighborhood in
I have
Palisades.
no
The
idea.
Palisades, you could literally fly a helicopter over it and get everything in one frame that got
Yeah.
destroyed.
Right.
Whereas
I mean-
here, oh my God,
I mean,
it's
we
You could
don't-
fly for hours.
We don't downplay other people's, you know, tragedies.
no,
I
no.
mean,
If it sucks, it
it's
sucks.
not.
Like, for
It's
the individual.
horrible, and you know, we obviously feel terrible for people that you know are going through something like that because we know what it's like now.
But it never happens here.
It just
We don't get
yeah.
hurricanes in the mountains.
No,
It's-
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean that's why it. I know people probably will take it as us being kind of like rude or you know having a poor attitude about it when we say things like it kind of makes me mad when I see them talking about the Palisades versus us like hey what about us, but there's a reason for that. You know, it's not to say oh screw you guys and your you know your misery. It's just it's different here. it doesn't happen here.
And it was so much bigger here.
And yeah, I mean,
And it's kind of like, I guess it's childish, but I feel like we haven't solved this one yet to move on to talking about the second one.
yeah.
Well, third, because, Florida got hit a couple days later or whatever.
A week
you know.
later, went right
Yeah.
over my house before it came here, literally.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things. There's a lot of emotion stored up, and somebody like me, I don't let it out very much. But then we start getting deep into talking about it, and it's like, damn, it's
And
just,
now we just had the
it's,
fire that in Old
Oh
Fort
my
Worth came through,
gosh.
and it stopped like right in my grandfather's
Would-
field on my property.
Oh,
do you
really?
remember
Yeah.
the fire in Buck
That
Creek?
was so scary.
There was a giant wildfire in Buck Creek
Yes.
right
Yeah,
at
yeah.
like, what was it, a month into the disaster?
And it was like a month ago, I think.
No,
Wasn't it? 2
no.
months
The
ago?
first one was
The first, yeah.
remember, because
was it?
we went there and we
Oh.
took pictures of how the entire community was
Yeah, it
gone.
was right after.
And everything was just soaking wet. And like 2 days later, there was this giant wildfire. Remember, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And it was supposedly an electrical line. And I was bothered by that because the one thing that I noted in the video, because it was eerie, all these houses were empty.
Yep.
But they had brand new electrical lines running to them. So it was like, okay, they're like trying to rebuild these, sell them, whatever. It was just weird to me that there was these brand new lines and no one in the houses.
Right.
So I made a note of it and whatever. And I was like, oh, they're trying to rebuild. But then these brand new lines fell down and started this giant, what ended up being hundreds of acres fire in Buck Creek. And then
I'm
there's
not
this
sure
other
how
one
big
here.
it
And
was.
it just seems like a lot in a row. That's all I'm saying. In a very
Yeah.
short amount of time that normally
When there
doesn't
was
happen.
no wind or anything to make
Right.
it go down.
Right.
That's what I'm
anyway.
trying to say. Like there, everything was soaking wet. A fire couldn't. I don't understand how it could have spread.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, when they're talking about it being like hundreds of acres or whatever, I don't know. We went through there and see none of it. Now, mind you, the road isn't going to show you all the acreage, but there was nobody there to kind of confirm it. And I've never seen a picture of anything burnt over there. So I'm
Right.
just kind of like, there's all this weird stuff, and it's just.
This is where people will be like, "Uh-oh,
I
they
don't
gotta get their
care.
tinfoil
It doesn't
hats
matter.
out."
It doesn't matter.
We'll
It just.
joke about it.
Well, the day the fire happened in Old Fort, there was 3 other fires that same day, all within
Right.
about 2 hours of each other.
Yeah.
Because I actually got a phone call to go haul campers out of a campground that was in the line of fire. At 10:30 one night, they come knocking on my camper. Hey, can you get ready to go?
Oh man.
Luckily, they got it under control. We didn't have to leave and go do that. But there was several fires, so
And there was one on 221 a few hours after
Correct.
that.
Yeah,
one.
that was
there was
nuts.
There was 3 of
Me
us.
It's like,
and
where are these?
Danielle were headed
What was the
out,
source
and
of
then
this?
that
Like,
happened.
Nobody
They said the power
supposedly.
line was down.
Yeah,
That's what they said about the
actually,
one.
Yeah.
it's always convenient.
it's exactly. It's weird
You
to.
want to help people, get with a nonprofit, get with a for-profit company, whatever. And I would tell them, hey, I challenge them, come down for a week, take
Yeah.
your week vacation, and reach out to somebody and come down for a week. Bring 8 or 10 volunteers with you. There is plenty to
Plenty
do.
to do.
Oh,
Plenty.
endless.
Isn't it amazing? Like you guys were saying that so many people have come down here. They're basically here permanently. Previous to that, so many people were coming to North Carolina for other reasons, whether it be job, cost of
Right.
living, the beauty of everything here. Now you're going to have like a whole generation of people who came here to help people.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's
That's-
starting
Right.
a whole new culture and
That's great.
yeah.
That's
Correct.
one of the silver linings, and I always touch on this whenever I can because I think it's important. The silver lining of this disaster is, seeing how people can really come together. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I never thought in my life that I would ever feel at home or call anywhere else home besides Detroit, Michigan, even when it was terrible. And we've lived here for almost 5 years, and I know without a doubt that this is where I'm supposed to be, that God put me here in this exact place, with the people that I have met since the disaster and the people that I continue to meet. I mean, the connections that I've made. I mean, me and Ashley are like separated at birth, I swear. So, I mean, just that's the silver lining for me, to see that there is still true goodness in humanity.
And there's community.
Yeah.
Sociologically, it's like nobody knows anybody in America.
Yeah,
you
because
don't know
you
your
spend
neighbor.
all your time online. You don't know
and
your neighbors.
you didn't grow up where you live usually either.
Mm-hmm.
So here you actually had some roots like that where people have been here for generations, and now you actually see a community.
Yeah.
And that's impressive to me. Like,
And I just found out that I know who he is and didn't even know I knew.
Exactly.
everyone's connected somehow, and it's like a beautiful thing. Like y'all have been saying, it's kind of like this continues on. What is the long term plan for a lot of people in this situation? Like, do people have any like?
That's what I'm trying to do with my community is teach financial literacy. That's what my nonprofit was started as in May of last year as MoneyWise Tax Academy, and started doing business as MoneyWise Community Outreach. So I want them to come through. I'll help them get back on their feet financially, replace lost documents, help find jobs, whatever. Just try to get people back on their feet and send them back out as an asset instead of a detriment.
Yeah, it's kind of like starting over from nothing.
I know.
Honestly.
Give me just like I know you just kind of broke it down right there anyway, but like a breakdown of what exactly KAB is and what you're going to be doing there.
Okay, I named it KAB Village because it's named after my daughter who died in 2012, Halloween 2012. So she was born and raised in that location, in that area. So that's the reason behind it. And I just feel like I'm doing exactly what she would be doing or be wanting me to do. So her name was Kristen Alexandria Burnett. So that's why it's called KAB Village.
And you're going to have programs there that are, financial literacy, you said?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to be there. I'll have an office there where I can, teach courses, just more hands-on with people, trying to get them, back on their feet financially. So if they've got no credit or bad credit or whatever, we'll do credit repair or, start some credit so they can buy them a house and not keep throwing their money away.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I mean, I'll admit I don't have the greatest skills at all in what you're describing, and some people have always just had that one job or whatever, and really didn't have another plan because they were set. They worked their butt off, or got their schooling or whatever, did it. Then they lost everything, got to start all over again. It's kind of like, what do you do? So that is a good point with the credit and everything. That's a damn good idea. That's one of the things that I talked about where I was like, there's got to be some long-term idea on how to turn a corner,
Yeah, just keep handing out donations. I kind of shifted from disaster relief and disaster recovery into transitional housing and transitional, it's like in that transition stage.
Yeah, exactly. That's very
not
important.
that I'm not going to not help somebody if they come and I've got it in my connexes, then yeah, I'm more than welcome to it. But, I'm kind of trying to transition.
Yeah, because, realistically, you can't live off the donations forever.
Right.
Exactly.
And people aren't going to be able to continue to donate and function like that forever.
It's hurting the other businesses whenever they're constantly getting it and not having. So
yeah,
the money's
it crushed our business in Hickory because at first it was a lot of people, because some of our customers are in Morganton and stuff like that. Some come down from Boone and everything. We do furniture, so it was vacation homes, that sort of thing. So that got crushed because those people lost properties. They didn't have money. Their kid, and then right immediately after that, they were giving to people over here. So they had no money to spend. Like
right.
we were kind of decimated for like 2 months. It was pretty bad. It started to pick up almost to normal again. And you get a few people that need stuff because they lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not really going to make a profit on that. I mean, if you have half a heart, you basically give it to them at cost. Like that's what we end up doing. So it affected us, and we're 40 miles away. So I can only imagine what it's done to businesses in the area.
Yeah,
a lot are probably
smaller ones.
Not even just destroyed by the damage, but I mean closed down for good because of the hit they took. There was
because you had no option. Nonprofit had an option, to getting help from the government, kind of, or your individuals, you could apply to get some assistance, which most got denied anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the middleman, the small business owners in the middle, they got nothing. It's like go apply for a small business association loan.
Right.
That's all you get. And you get a good interest rate for a year, and then we're going to hike it up on you, and then you're going to be barely digging yourself out of that hole after the first year, and then you're going to go under anyway.
Yeah.
It's like they intentionally set them up for failure.
I know. Yeah. It's
Seems
exactly
that way.
what it feels like.
Yeah. The small business thing is something that bothers me specifically. That's something that it seems like that is the one thing that always gets affected worse. We talked to that one dude in Old Fort where he was talking about the businesses that got destroyed down there and how they did get, I don't remember where the source was that they were getting money. They went to the city, got money to help a few of the businesses, but it was just those few that weren't even affected as much as the others.
Right.
Like there was a coffee shop that got a bunch of money that didn't even get damaged.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And he said he was there at those meetings and couldn't believe the way it worked, and that he had to kind of move all the wreckage himself, not just of his two trailers, but of everything around him, because it was kind of like the city was kind of passing the buck to the state. It was passing the buck on it, so like the city, like none of it got done unless the citizens did it.
Right.
And they did a good job, but that's not the point. It's like, where are the people who are supposed to be in charge and have some sort of pride about the place that they have power over?
Well, we have new administration now, and we hope that we see more of that coming in to help. And we'll see. And
well, locally maybe not. That's that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not always the case. Your local elections and stuff are really important.
They are. But although we definitely support Trump and the Trump administration, we will definitely be holding them accountable. Like, hey, come do.
Well,
what
we're on the list
of
promises. That's why.
So,
you know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, he was over there in Swannanoa, and he says, hey, we're gonna start cutting FEMA out of the picture and start getting the money back to the state for the state. Well, on January 31st, restraining order was filed and posted. So yeah, now that's when you started seeing more of the trucks and stuff in the creeks 2 days later.
Yep. So
and think about how many months in that was, though. How quickly that could have been done before.
Right.
Well, at least some of the people at the top of FEMA have now been fired.
Oh, I've had several notifications that all my people are gone.
Well, the main financial person, I don't remember her exact title, but there's 4 major people fired, so we are going to see some things change around. But it was a pathetic response, regardless of what party was in power. It doesn't matter. That's supposed to be a disaster relief type of organization. And I didn't see much relief.
No, I was out there at the very moment cutting trees and, waist deep water just to get it off the road, just so I'm in a dead end road,
That's
people
incredible.
had to get out, so there's no way out.
It's unbelievable.
Well, it has been we the people since day one. I don't know exactly how many days we are now. I usually keep a count of exact amount of days, but we're pushing 5 months at this point. It is still we the people. We have some more help coming in, thank God, and it's going to be a process. But I trust and believe that it will get better on that end. But I am just very thankful and proud to be one of those people as part of We the People and sitting here with all of you right now, because I know, just from the things that I've done and have done with, Loving Hearts Bear Closet and other organizations, it hits your heart, it hits your soul, and it's not always easy to carry. So God bless you guys for continuing to do what you do. I'm just so glad that I crossed paths with Ashley here, and I really look forward to seeing what she's going to do with her village and everything else that's going to come of that, and to meet you guys tonight. I didn't even know that you were going to be here for sure.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
That's awesome. So
that's a Rodney thing there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Want a podcast with you?
Yeah. Sure.
I asked him, I'm like, come on.
One thing that I had talked to Ashley about in the night we were in Walmart. Had to do with just health in general, and I was talking about permapastures. I think she might have given you the link. Those guys that have the way of basically
fixing the soil.
Fixing the soil, fixing the water, for lack of a better term, and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you Actually, I think Old Fort maybe wasn't as bad, but
Marion and the high cauliflorum bacteria.
yeah.
The most recent test results just came out. I need to actually get a copy.
And then the fact that even here on the green, I'm not sure. Well, actually, we did experience some of this in Old Fort where people are getting used to it, but like the soil and the water has still like kind of enough chemical content to where you can feel it burn your eyes, you can taste it in your throat.
Yeah.
You know, kids are
Certain areas.
obviously going to have to go back to playing in it. You know, stuff's being built in it. People were mucking out their homes in it. And come to find out, it's in some places it's pretty damn dangerous.
Yes.
That those guys, the perma pastures guys, did some tests in it was Marshall. It was a town that I'm not aware of that's just above Asheville. I don't remember the name of it. And a couple other places, and they said it was really bad. The content of some of these metals and stuff, because you know, I guess it's mainly because of you know, vehicles going into the water, factories getting wiped out,
Yeah.
and that stuff doesn't just go away.
No, that's your forever chemicals.
Yeah. So are you guys experiencing any of that where it's like near you at all, where you're like, damn, we got to do something, or?
I mean, it's just like these newest test results that just came out. They're, Marion was high in a lot of things, and some other places were higher in heavy metals. But I know of a lot of the dumping, even from way back in Old Fort, where the dye companies would dump up in Twin Lakes, way out in the country.
I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like all these things you got to think got stirred up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
turned up straight back up to the surface, and then washed right back out. So.
Because that was the thing we fell in love with here is we would go camping at Curtis Creek, and it was like the water is so clear and clean. It's just amazing. And now everywhere we go, it's like mucky. To be honest, it's like Detroit water now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there's anyone doing anything to fix that. That's what I thought that the National Guard would be doing.
And yeah,
Like
you have to clean the waterways first, the debris.
Yeah.
Before you can start the next phase, it's fixing the water.
Right.
Yeah. These guys have a way to where they use some sort of a microorganism that goes in there and eats all that bad stuff up, and what comes out of them is a good thing. That actually cleans the water, but it's a big process.
In the ocean.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where they do these tests where it proves that it works, but then like the video gets pulled down. I'm not kidding. Like it's an actual thing. You know, it's that's what worries me though, is just the fact that people were exposed to a lot of things in this dirt and everything. Like we had Tyler who his partner had a drop of water
in Pensacola
get in his eye. His eye became this big, you know. He burned a hole in his foot from the water.
Yeah, and one of the guys that run the dog teams, he was in Pensacola, and his hand, he just about lost his hand.
Yeah, and it was kind of like that was sort of kept quiet. People didn't know they were going out. When they were going out there to help, they didn't really know they were going into that.
Because they didn't have the protective gear that they needed.
Right.
To have. You just reacted.
Just did. I'm going to help. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Instead of the ones in here that had the protective gear that should have been doing it, we're not here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like what they did here at the Greenway in Marion, where they, all they did was kind of push some dirt off of the sidewalks, throw some new asphalt down in a few places, and put some fences back up. But meanwhile, the dirt smells the same. You know what I mean? It's like everything's fine now, and
take your families out there.
Yeah, and it's not safe. It can't be good. So it's kind of like they should be telling you, like, stay, you know. But everybody wants to act like everything's back to normal and fine, you know. And I understand.
And as many campers that ended up and stuff in Lake James that they're still not being recovered, not to mention all of the other stuff. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't touch Lake James.
Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah.
15, 20 years myself, personally.
See, that personally makes me sad. Like, it really does. Like, we're always outdoors in the water and stuff in the summer, and that's what we have this place for, and it's like,
I can barely talk about Curtis Creek without getting super emotional.
Yeah, our campground's just gone. We're there every weekend, you know, and
everything's at risk for a mudslide for the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, at least a year.
Yeah, see, every time I hear that, I get scared.
The rain.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Like,
definitely a PTSD type trigger.
Yeah, several
You
people.
know, you hear that rain and you hear that wind, and it's just like, okay, you know, well, it's not that bad. It's like, well, it wasn't really that bad that day yet
No,
either.
It wasn't supposed to be 30, 40 feet of water. We were in Asheville, what, 2 weeks ago when she got her cast off?
Yes.
Oh my God, you could see where it was actually, that's not an exaggeration. It was like 30, 40 feet. You guys know that.
Oh God.
Like you can literally count how high it is. It's unbelievable. Like my mind can't even fathom how that can happen.
We delivered a tiny home to a man and his family, and he said it felt like his house was on the spin cycle of a washing machine. I mean, he looked out the window; it looked like Niagara Falls was coming directly at him. And he said he's never experienced anything like that in his life. I said, well, nobody has.
Nobody has. That's right.
And then I talked to another young lady that her family's from Chimney Rock, and there was actually 3 floods, 3 separate floods hit that same day.
Wow. Oh, so like basically, yeah,
One
that's
flood,
what you're saying.
a couple hours later, another flood, then about an hour later, another flood.
Yeah, and you mentioned the mudslides, the landslides. That's something I had never even thought about because we never lived in the mountains, and that we've seen the damage from those, and it's unbelievable. And it's changed how the mountain looks. Like it's changed an entire mountain here and there. It's unbelievable.
I think Hickory Nut Mountain, they just lost even more ground off of it just in the last few days.
Well, every time we get rain like this, you know, it's like, okay, well, the places that already had slides, be careful because now you're liable to get more. And, you know, the trees that were already halfway down, they're going to slide down. You know, it just, so it is a long, long, long broken road that we are on here. And, folks out there just need to understand that. And I know that it's hard for them too, but
you're like we said, you're replacing entire lives of people. It's not going to take a couple months.
No.
You know,
but
it's
long broken road aside, we are on that road, and we are all going to stay on that road. We are in it for the long haul. I can tell, I know every single one of you are in it for the long haul. And there are a lot of other people that are out there that are in it for the long haul. And, you know, as long as we continue to do what we are doing, and I believe that God will make a way, and that we will slowly but surely be okay, even when we're not.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
He'll provide.
yes.
That's what it feels like.
Yep.
He'll make it work.
We should wrap this up at this point.
Yeah.
Before we go, I guess just tell me who you are again, one by one.
And where people can go
and where they
to
can
assist
go.
what you're doing. and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have a link or anything like that.
Okay.
I should say
Big Yummy Barbecue. That's where we are on Facebook and TikTok. And it's Feed the People is the nonprofit. What we're doing is, you know, if we get a request from one of the hubs, we go and feed. We get a request from individuals, we go and feed. We have so many different contacts. And when, like Rodney says, hey, what does Mindy or Tracy need or Ashley need? I go, oh, I don't know. Let me get a list and I'll send it to them. And then it may be something Ashley needs that Rodney has. And then Rodney has something that you guys need.
right.
And then, you know, but the human connections, you know, we talked about the look on their face when they get the tiny home or the camper or a hot meal.
Anything. Exactly.
You know, but guys, thank you for having us. It's, like I said, it's Big Yummy Barbecue. We feed the people. That's what we do.
Mine is MoneyWise Community Outreach on Facebook, TikTok, and the KAB Village. I do have a group on my Facebook that's linked there. I'm still working on my website.
I could probably help with that if you need help with it.
I did my own, but for my business, but now.
You do too many things at once, Ashley. You do need help.
I know. I'm not afraid to ask for it either. At this point, I have to ask for help.
Yes.
Whatever gets it done.
Hang on.
And I'm Rodney Cole, Pay It Forward Network, and you can find us just about any social media now: TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Our website's payitforwardnetwork.org. Um, and our primary focus when I started the nonprofit was to end homelessness for our veterans and first responders,
Mm.
and treat PTSD and addiction issues. Um, this kind of changed gears a little bit. We're still doing that as the need comes in, but we're focused here for right now. And as long as we're needed, we'll be here. So if anybody wants to donate, you can go to the website. There's plenty of ways you can donate there. And that the whatever comes in stays here. And that's where it's at for right now.
Amen. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and enduring our, messy, all kinds of children running all over the place and whatnot situation.
My life in a nutshell.
Right. So.
And you guys seem to have it organized too. The thing that we've run into since the beginning, like we were talking about earlier, is that there's a lot of people that want to help, a lot of groups of people that want to help. But, by the time that the resource you have, you're getting it somewhere, it's already been filled by someone else. So the people are running around with like chickens.
That's
with their
why
head
I kind of let people come to me. I
Yeah.
let them call me, message me, whatever. I mean, I live just, a few seconds from my container, so I just go and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
get over there.
yeah.
I'll go get you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's why I named this Pay It Forward Network. 1, pay it forward. 2, network. Because without all of this networking, none of this would have been possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
The social media that's made all of this happen. That's how we've all connected in one way or another.
Yeah.
It's been through network.
Social media did something good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did.
I mean, the bear
No, that's
closet.
true. Vivian, like she was barely never leaving her house and was able to organize all kinds of people coming here.
I mean, the bear closet has expanded so much.
But y'all had to get a new building because
It's I mean, it's just, the connections are incredible. So I'm thankful, and we're signing off.
Yeah.
All right. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
God bless y'all. Thank you.
Wow.